Hello, Steve.
Mike's doing a special hello to our super fans, Steve and Tina Jewel. So not only is Dawn live, but Steve is here for you. Mike's here for you, Steve. So there you go. He's come on specially for you, my great friend. I hope you enjoyed that. I have to pay him in beers. Thanks, Mike. And that was a special thing because it was our anniversary yesterday. So there you go. Oh, Steve said hello, Mike. And hello to Odham's Homestead. Oh, you are real. He's saying you're real, Mike.
It appears we missed each other by 1 year, Bromley.
Yeah, 1 year and you could have been buddies. Oh, thanks. That's sweet. I don't know Mike's glasses are his readers, so he probably can't see.
I haven't got readers
on. No, he hasn't got his readers. So Steve like that. I did have to bribe him.
Bye.
So, yeah, there we go. So, guys, do come and check out Odham's Homestead and Steve and Tina Jewel. Pop over to their channels, and while you're there, why not subscribe? Hey, Odham's Homestead says, my wife's middle name is Dawn. I'm going to guess she was either born in the late 60s or early 70s, because that was the time when Dawn wasn't very much heard of, but it suddenly became popular. There was Noreen Dawn Porter, an actress, but there wasn't many Dawns. 74, there you go. So late 60s and early 70s. And Steve and Tina Jewel have just put up the link to Odham's Homestead. So do go over and check that out. Remember, if you're watching this back later and you don't get the URL, just remember the channel name and put it in your search, Odham's Homestead. So do go and check them out. No problem. Thank you for giving your time to be on my live. I know many of you watch back later my lives. I appreciate that, because obviously my time in Cyprus is completely different to yours. Right now it's 5:35 p.m. So a thank you to Steve for putting up those links. So, yeah, I had to just quickly grab Mike and bring him in to get him off the cuff and say, come and say hello. And any of you who don't know, Steve keeps saying he'd love to see Mike. But as we say, Steve and Tina Jewel, you're welcome here anytime to come and stay with us. And there's so much that links Steve and Mike, unbeknown to either of us, until we've got chatting in the live. So I didn't know Steve. Steve is in Canada, so do go over there and look. He's got some awesome videos as well, so go over there, and who knows, maybe one day Steve and Tina will come, and they're welcome anytime. Just let us know to make sure we don't have volunteers here at the time. Odham says 9:35 a.m. here. I'm at work. Thank you very much for being here. So let's start today. What day is it? We've just come in from being out. We're celebrating our wedding anniversary. So we went out yesterday, which was our real wedding anniversary to celebrate, but we've just been out with friends today. So we did a little, just me and Mike yesterday, and then out with friends today. And also apart from that, we're also celebrating that I do seed giveaways on my channel. And what it is, I write down in an order people who have been long-time viewers of my channel, posting comments continually. And then I actually pick from that list each month somebody who I put on my community post and say, if you want free seeds, then do respond to my community posts. Send me your email. I've got my email there, so you can actually contact me directly. And if you want the free seeds, and I do that every month. And it's an anniversary of that as well, because I started doing that in August 2022, and I've done that every single month since then. Now, as I always say, if you're a channel and I don't know you enjoy gardening, because some of your channels are about other things, if you're interested in getting the free seeds, then just give me a comment to say, I would like to go on your list for free seeds, or I enjoy gardening as well, and then you will go on my list to get free seeds. And always check out my community post. That is the only place where I put each month who has been awarded the chance of the free seeds. So do check that out. Oh, happy anniversary. Bless you. Stephen Tina Jewel, it's 7:35 a.m. there. Odham's Homestead, 9:35 a.m. here. So, yeah, it's very difficult in Cyprus to try and associate with all times, which is why my lives on this channel are the same time, Mondays and Wednesdays, but my other channel, Tranquility Through Life's Natural Beauty, is much earlier, and that is so I can catch people in other countries. If you want my times of that, let me see. I do have it written down because I don't do all your times. So let me tell you, my other channel, I do lives on Fridays. And the time of those is basically, a lot of Australian followers said they could never catch my live. So I just give my time on my other channel to suit them mostly. And the time I do Friday lives on Tranquility Through Life's Natural Beauty is approximately 8:30 p.m. for Australia. PST is too early, it's 4 a.m. Central is 6 a.m. EST is 7 a.m, so that suits. And UK, it is 12 o'clock lunchtime. So if you want to catch me live, then do look at that. But let's start today straight away. What day did I say it was today? Wednesday. I'm all out because I've been doing different things this week to my normal schedule. So let's start with this. Now, if you don't know, I write my own puzzles. I have an exercise book where I've handwritten all puzzles in. And because I bought so many exercise books for each subject or theme that I do, I had to make different designs on them. So I don't have to read everything. I just pick it up. So this is puzzle pieces that I do on my Wednesday live. The letter K is because I have down the side here all these little intros that you see. So I know it's intro K. And look, I just made a little puzzle pieces, little picture there, so it's easier to quickly just pick up the right book. So let's do today puzzle piece for today. Some are hard, some are easy. Let's see. What occurs twice in a week, once in a year, but never in a day? What occurs twice in a week, once in a year, but never in a day? Now, Steve often gets these quite quick because his mind's as warped as mine, and he won't mind me saying that. We have the same sort of thought process. So I'll say it one more time. What occurs twice in a week, once in a year, but never in a day? And let's see if anyone gets that before I give the answer. If you're watching this back later, again, see if you can figure out the answer before I give it out. Odom saying I'm in Central Time. Cool. Okay. So while you're thinking about that puzzle piece, let's go on to this. So jokes and fun. Let's do a couple today. Let's do a couple of jokes for you. So we'll start with this one. After months of ill health, a man goes to his doctor for a full checkup. The doctor brings out the results and says, I'm afraid I've got some very bad news. You're dying. You don't have much time left. The man looks shocked. Oh, that's terrible. How long have I got? And the doctor replies, 10. The man looks shocked. 10? 10 what? Months? Weeks? What on earth do you mean? And the doctor looks at him sadly and says, 9, 8, 7. So that's the first one. We've got an answer for our puzzle piece today. And Odin's Homestead, who's laughing at my first joke, says the answer to what occurs twice in a week, once in a year, but never in a day. And Odin's Homestead says the letter E. You are correct. Well done. What occurs twice in a week, the letter E, once in a year, the letter E, but never in a day. And Steve saying, well done to you. And of course, you get our applause of the day. Well done, Odin's Homestead. Well done to you. Congratulations. Congratulations on that. Oh, and I forgot to mention, in case anyone's interested, our wedding anniversary is for 18 years. 18 years. Okay, let's do another joke. At 85 years of age, Wally married Anne, a lovely 25-year-old. Ooh. Since her new husband is so old, Anne decides that after their wedding, she and Wally should have separate bedrooms because she is concerned her new but very aged husband may overexert himself if they spend the entire night together. After the wedding festivities, Anne prepares herself for bed and expects the knock on the door. Sure enough, the knock comes. The door opens and there is Wally. Her 85-year-old groom. He's ready for action. They unite as one. All goes well. Wally takes leave of his bride and prepares to go to sleep. After a few minutes, Anne hears another knock on her bedroom door. It's Wally again. Again, he's ready for more action. Somewhat surprised, Anne consents for a more frantic coupling. Isn't this worded nicely? When the newlyweds are done, Wally kisses her bride, bids her a fond good night, and leaves. She is set to go to sleep again, but, you guessed it, Wally is back again. He's rapping on the door and is as fresh as a 25-year-old, ready for more action. Once again, they enjoy each other in the way only two people in the first flush of lust can. But as Wally gets set to leave again, his young bride says to him, I'm thoroughly impressed. At your age, you can perform so well and so often. I've been with guys less than a third of your age who were only good once. You are truly a great lover, Wally. Wally, somewhat embarrassed, turns to Anne and says, have I been here before? So that's quite fun. Steve saying, sharp mind, Odom. Yes, gave you a run for your money today, Steve. And we say a special hello to Jane. Steve knows Jane. A special hello for Jane. Hope you're watching, Jane. Okay, let's have a look now. Let's go to this. So what have we been up to lately? Well, today, before we went out, me and Mike sat down and talked about our Workaway volunteers. If you don't know what that is, it's a platform on social media. If you want a link to it, just ask and I'll send it to you. And it's people who can come and volunteer at your house or at your garden, whatever and wherever in the world you are, whatever sort of accommodation you have. If you want someone to help you put in a new kitchen, or if you want someone to do a bit of clearing in your garden. If you have a homestead, maybe you're going away for a while and you want them to come and feed your animals, anything and everything, maybe a bit of DIY, coming to fix things up. If you want more information on it, do ask me, because I'm like up here with the ability to tell you all about it, the pros, the cons and so on and so forth, and how to connect. And we've been talking about, we've got a couple coming to be volunteers at our property. And we sat down today and we've actually planned what jobs we want them to do on our homestead at our olive farm. So we sat down, planned that. Always a good idea to plan your major things first, that if they decided to leave after a day, what you really need done. And you think, well, at least they've done that. Not that they leave, but that's the way I do it. I think if they only did one thing, what is one thing we really want done? So we sat and planned that today. And just a brief resume of what Workaway is. It's for anyone from anywhere in the world, anyone from around the world comes and normally stays at your property. You only have to provide a bed and, say, a shower. And if you ask them for 3 hours or less help a day, you don't have to feed them or provide them with any food at all. So it's no cost to you other than a bed and a shower. If you ask for more than 3 hours a day, you then have to feed them in some respect. So that's either providing them with food and obviously somewhere to cook the food, or sharing your meals. There's lots of variety and ways and means of that. So if you're interested in that at all, I don't know why there's so many people out there saying, I'm too old, I can't manage, when there is this scheme available. For a host, the person asking for help, you don't pay anything, not to join or anything at all. If you want to be a volunteer, I can't tell you the updated price, but you do pay an annual fee, because obviously you're coming into the site and you basically get a free holiday. One of the reasons we say up to 3 hours work a day, it's only 5 days a week, not weekends, they don't work weekends, is because I want them to come have a holiday, a cheap holiday in Cyprus. So they're basically paying for the flights. If they need a car, they obviously, because I'm so remote, they have to pay for a car for themselves, hire a car, and free accommodation, and of course their food. We do provide facilities here for them to cook if they want to buy their own food, but it gives them a chance to look around Cyprus. So if you're interested in more information of that, I do have lots of videos on it, and if you're interested, I will give you all my URLs. Plus I did a great video on information for A, if you want to be a host, and B, if you want to be a volunteer. Of course you can join under both respects, and I believe if you join as a host and you recommend someone else to be a host, you get free the cost of what it would cost you to be a volunteer for that year, I believe. So it's a great way for you to travel and go to another country with your accommodation paid for. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Of course, if you're interested in volunteering here, I can help you with that. So a free holiday in Cyprus to give 3 hours help 5 days a week. If you have disabilities or inabilities, if you're concerned about having to help here, then what we say is you can still come and stay here, but you give us a donation of what it would cost if you stay here as an Airbnb, which is very cheap, and you donate rather than doing the 3 hours work a day. So if you're interested in that, just contact me. You can put it in a comment under any video and I will let you know. Steve says Jane went home yesterday. Bless her, bless her. So, okay, let's have a look now at this. Just me slurping my water there. You just missed the slurp noise. Okay, so those of you who watch all my lives will know that currently I'm doing cross stitch and I'm giving it, showing you it each week to show you my progress, but for you to guess what the finished product, the picture is going to be. It's one thing. It's not scenery and other items in the picture. It's one thing. You can guess as many times you like. You can change your mind. If you change your mind, but you were right previously, I take all your answers into account. So don't worry about repeating an answer. And I have done a bit more. There was a lot of filling in, which always takes time. And I feel then it doesn't look like I've done very much. But here it is. I'll show you distance first so you get an overview. So I've mostly done more this side because I feel you haven't seen much going on this side. So it gives you an idea. Oh, look, there's lines to give you an idea. So there's lots going on. So some people prefer to email me with their answers because they don't want to sway other people, which is fine, or they don't want their answers seen. So that's fine. So what is, as I say, it's one thing. It's very pretty, as a lot of you were saying. Very pretty. I've done lots of filling in and lots of additional bits. I know it's hard to see some of those lines. There we go. We've got a close up there. And all that white area, there's a lot of filling in gone on there and a bit more there. Now, last time I said to you, I want to show you that I'm nowhere near completing this because some of you think it's almost done. No. So I remembered today to actually bring the threads from the kit so I can show you how much thread I've got left. Now, this brand of kit I've never used before. So some kits give you some extra thread in case you go wrong. But I've also heard some kits, some brands, don't give you enough thread for if you make a mistake or whatever else. So I'm going to show you what I've got is this caddy. And this is, I keep in here the thread of my current project. And what I've done, if you don't know, if you haven't seen, there are compartments and I've put little markers in between. So you can see I've got a lot of thread still to go. Might look a mess, but I'm in the middle. These bottom ones are what I'm using right now. These are ones yet to use. We've got more here. And I've put them in 5s. So I've got like 1 to 5. I've actually written on the edges. I don't know if this helps any of you. You can't see that yet. There we go, 27. So what I did, I make these bobbins from old Christmas cards and birthday cards. I've got a template I draw around. And then what I've decided to do this time is wind each colour, what it signifies in the pattern, onto these. I've just dropped one. That's not really helpful. So there we go, you can see now. So I wind them round, and then obviously every project I do, it takes a time for you to see it, but there you go. Every project I do, obviously, when this one's complete, if there's any extra, I'll take them off. And then each time I do a project, I can wind the colours on, which is far easier than using, some of you know how they come in a long thing and you knock them through when they come in the kit, but I found this more helpful. So as you can see, there's still a lot more to go, and as I said, I've divided them into 5, so 1 to 5, 6 to 10, and I've gone along like that, making them so they're easy to grab. The ones down here, I've got little bits left of threaded on needles, so obviously I don't want to take those off and keep rethreading them. And then whatever colours I'm working on at the time, I put in this area. I've got a little marker that as I take one out, I put the marker in. So that's what I use for that. So as you can see, lots of thread left. I'm nowhere close to finishing, and I've already got a plan for what my next project will be. Odham's Homestead said, have a blessed day, everyone, back to work. Thank you very much for dropping in. That is so appreciated. Steve says here, call Jane after your live, see how her journey went. Wish her well from me, Steve. She was fun on the live. And Stephen Tina says, still think it's an Indian princess. Okay, so we'll see where that goes. Okay, let's continue with this. New quote corner for Wednesdays. Yes, be creative in your thinking to reach your goals. Now, check out my channel, Tranquility Through Life's Natural Beauty. I've got a whole series starting on there about how you can learn easily. And it tells you your psyche of what you like to do, how you like to do it, and that portrays how you can learn easily. So do take a look at that. Steve says, will do, Dawn, to connect with Jane. Thank you for that. Okay, let's have a look at this. Now, it won't be of interest to you today, but I'm reading this book and it's all in Greek. And basically with this book, it's got stories and little short passages in Greek, but then you can check your answers elsewhere. So it's a little revision, if you like, just suddenly throwing random words and things at me. And I was talking with my friends today about, he basically was saying he learnt Greek, but because he doesn't use it, apart from your basic phrases and ordering things in a restaurant and shopping, he's forgotten most of it. So for me, I got up to translation, so a degree level, and I have lost some of it because I don't use things like court procedure words and doctor type medical terms and all that I learned. So I have lost a lot of it. So I want to keep it in my head. So I thought this was a good book to refresh. And I do keep coming across an odd word and I recognise the word, but I forget what it means. So I'm reading this at the moment just to keep going on it, and I need to get back into that. And I try and do like a school year. So every pre-September, I think, right, I'm going to get back into it again and take time, even if it's 10-15 minutes a day, just read a passage or something and keep up with it. There's no point having a whole bookshelf here full of books in Greek and not look at them. So that is really what I'm reading now. But just before I started the live, I picked up another book from the pile that my friend gave me. And I thought, right, this will be the next book. I'm just trying to wheedle down that pile. So this book is P.D. James, which is a very popular author, and it's called The Murder Room. And as I always say, if you like what I'm telling you about a book, these are all old books, they're not new books. Go to your library and order it, or look up on Kindle, because they're old books. Some of them you might be able to get for free. So let's read the back. And it says, Commander Adam Dalgleish is already acquainted with the museum in Hampstead and with its sinister murder room celebrating notorious crimes committed in the interwar years. When he is called to investigate the killing of one of the trustees, I think I might have seen this one on TV. He soon discovers that the victim was seeking to close the museum against the wishes of both staff and fellow trustees. I think I've seen this one, but I can't remember how it goes. Everyone, it seems, has something to gain from the crime. Don't they always in these murder mysteries? When it becomes clear that the killer is prepared to kill again, inspired by the real-life crimes from the murder room. I've definitely seen this before. Dalglish knows that to solve this case, he has to get into the mind of a ruthless killer. I have seen it, but as I say, got no idea how it went. Maybe I'll remember. Now, the first thing I do normally is look at the size of the print. Take a second to adjust. So it's decent size print. And it's a nice thick book. There's nothing better for me than a nice thick book. I love reading books. The thicker, the better. And what I normally do is start reading it and give you my out of 10. And then I review it around the middle and then review it at the end. And you will know, if you know me well, if it's not got an amazing ending that I didn't see coming, it will get a high score. So let's see. I do seem to remember this one on TV. Have you seen it? Maybe. So I will review that. I will start reading it and let you know. Very well done, says Stephen Tina. Very well done. Thank you very much. Okay. Let's go on to our Q&A today. Ooh. Ooh, Q&A. Let me see. I have to mark off what ones I have done off my little notebook. Everything is prepared by me. Okay, so the question today is, if your pet had a dating site profile, what would it say? That is cool. If your pet had a dating site profile, what would it say? Well, I now have 3 cats, sadly. Just one has passed. So let's do each one of them. If you don't know my animals, I do have a video, Meet My Cats. So if you want the to see them all, then ask me for the URL of that. Let me see. Pebbles. Now, she's the old granny now, bless her. She's the oldest cat I had. Of a morning, we let her in. She's separate to the 2 boys, because she's so slow eating and they're so fast. So she's the old granny. But when you let her in the morning, if you don't sit on the sofa while she's eating, she gets cross. Let me see, what would her profile say? I may be old, but I'm still very alert and wise. I like attention. And I can imitate bird sounds better than I meow. She does. Well, when we first got her, she didn't meow or make any noises because she's a rescue cat. And then she started doing, we noticed, she was meowing with no sound. She'd just go. And she's done that for years. No sound, just meow. And now I would say it's more a bark, a dog's bark, rather than a meow. She makes these sort of bark noises. And if she doesn't do that, she can perfectly imitate bird sounds. We've caught her many a time. Outside, we've got like electric wire outside. Not a telegraph pole, but you know how you have wire going from post to post. And a lot of birds sit there, swallows sit up there, and they make their noise, and she sits underneath and listens, and then she starts replying to them. I haven't caught that on film. I so desperately want to, because you would not believe how exact it is. So she does that occasionally. So she would say, I'm very good at imitating bird sounds. not really looking for a partner. I like company, but not looking for a partner. And the saddest thing is, since our other cat died a little while ago, she now sleeps where the other cat always was. I think that's sad. And she was in my room the other day. The other cat used to hide in corners and little nooks, and she was going around my whole room looking in every single nook. Even I've got a whiteboard behind me on the floor, and it's balanced against the wall, obviously not flat, it's leaning. And she went behind there. She's looking everywhere, bless her. So that's her profile. Then we got Kit, who is our youngest cat. If you've seen my video on Cat Kingdom, on Tranquility Through Life's Natural Beauty, that is where Kit was the prince, because he was the youngest, so he was the prince. What would his profile be? He's like, I am still a kitten. I love to play. I'm afraid of being told off. So if anyone gets told off, I will run away and take the blame. I'm so fluffy and adorable. If you want to rub my belly, if you even approach me, I will flip over for you to rub my belly. I'm just darling. So that's his profile. And then Mr. Colin Waffles, if you want to know his story, ask me for the URL. There's a whole reason why he's got that funny name. But Mr. Colin Waffles, his profile would be, just turn on a hose and I will drink the water and be quite happy. I'm a bit of a goof, so I'm told. My back legs never follow my front legs. And my mummy and daddy call me loopy legs or goofy gander. But I'm a happy soul and give me lots of love. Do not split me up from my brother Kit, because he's my valet and cleans my ears. But I love fun. I love cuddles, and you will never be lonely while I'm about. So that's their profiles. What's your animal profiles? Let me know in the comments below. Steve says, sorry, I missed the last few minutes. Had a phone call. Cool, no problem. If you had to have a profile, a dating profile that your dog would write, what would that be? What would Rover's dating profile be? I think that's quite a fun one. So yeah, anybody watching later, do put your animal's profile under this video. They would be awesome to read. So yeah, that's my 3 cats that I have now. So there we go. So that would be quite fun to try and come up with that one for sure. I think that was a brilliant question. I collect questions. If any of you want to send me questions, I am about to do a video with viewers' questions. They can be funny questions. They can be serious questions. They can be very, I was going to say intimate. That's not quite the word, but very, what's the word? Very stark questions. I want a lovely mix of all sorts of questions, and I will mention your channel if I answer your question in the video. And don't worry if you miss the video, miss the deadline, because I like to do them. One of my most favourite videos I like to make is answering questions. I love questions. So if you have a question, then put for your Q&A video. And as I say, if you miss this time, then I will do it in a future video. Okay, let's go on to this. Okay, so today we're playing How Many Things Can You Think Of That You Find in a Cinema? How many things can you think of that you find in a cinema? Again, if you're watching back later, see if you can say the things before we do. Okay, I always like to think obscure. Popcorn on the floor. Oh my goodness. There can't be a single person here that has ever been to a cinema and not had popcorn thrown at you, or you've been throwing the popcorn. Which person was you? Was you the thrower of popcorn or the receiver of popcorn thrown at you? Which was you? Okay, let me just pop over to the comments. Steve's doing the profile for his dog Rover. If you want to see Rover, do go and check out Steve and Tina Jewell. He features in quite a lot of videos. The profile for Rover is loves walkies and treats and more walkies and more treats. Call me River. I think that's Rover. Is it? It meant to be Rover. Call me Rover. I'll come to you. Better have a treat for me. Oh, bless. That is really sweet. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, that is really lovely. How are you doing, Steve? Are you recovered from your accident? I saw a video since where you seem to be okay. Let me know how you're getting on, my friend. Things you find in the cinema: popcorn, ice cream. Oh, you always have to have an ice cream. Not yet. Oh, bless you, Steve. Did they say what actually was wrong? What was actually wrong? You still have tickets, don't you, at the cinema? Ticket stubs. Sweet wrappers. Cinema seats, obviously. Here's a time span for you. You used to have in your chair arm, or on the back of the seat in front of you, I think it was, the ashtrays. Yes, I think it was on the back of the seat in front of you. It used to be the ashtrays. How many of you remember those? Oh, looks like muscle damage. Oh, my goodness. It's sometimes the simplest things, accidents, that cause the most things. Waiting for MRI. Oh, Steve. Goodness. That's pretty bad. Bad muscle damage. And, of course, the older you are, the harder it is to recover. Oh, bless you. I wish you well for that. Cinema. Well, now we have the drink containers and the straws. You probably find the films in a cinema. Do they still come on reels, the film? Can someone tell me that? Do you still have the cinema reels playing on the projectors? Do they still actually do that? Oh, you get around with crutches. Oh, my goodness. Do you want my wheelchair, Steve? What else do you find in cinema? People. Good question, says Steve. Yes, people. You find people. I tell you what you have now. Do you have this in your country? We don't have it here, actually. Not that I know of. But people filming the film. We have people that walk round and check no one's filming the film here. It's electric. Cool. What else? I tell you what you have in cinemas now. A lot of cinemas you have. When you have the 3D films, you now have 4D films. So they have things like when you're watching the film, the seats move and you get like air blown at you or splashes of water if it's a water scene, that kind of thing. I like that kind of cinema. I just wish cinemas weren't as loud as they are. You know, sometimes music and the sound is too loud. You don't need that. You don't need that. Let me see, what else do you have in cinemas? We do have cinemas where there's certain times of day or night more where children aren't admitted, so that's cool. I've talked many times before about here. We have open air cinemas, but not anywhere near where I live. They're in the capital, Lefkosia. But there are these driving ones, but not anywhere near, so we can't go to those. But we have here our nearest cinema, the top floor of the building, it's a proper cinema, big cinema complex. The top floor, the roof actually opens completely. So it is in a building, but the roof opens out, but obviously not in the summer. And you might think that's crazy, but in Cyprus, it's far too hot in the summer. Even in the evening, you get burnt. So there's only certain times where the top is open. And I don't know, I know a lot of countries have expensive complexes. Here, cinema is still very reasonable with the great big armchairs and sofas, luxury seats to sit in, but it's cheap. All the while, we've been here about 20 years or so, and all the while, all that time, it's still cheaper here to go to the cinema, when all that time back in South London, the price of going to the cinema there was more expensive even today. So that tells you a lot. As I say, it's South London, so you were paying high prices there. But when you think 20 years difference, and it's still cheaper here, and we've got the great big screens, like the most modern cinemas you can think of, that's what we got. We haven't got, we used to call in England the old cinemas flea pits. Did any of you call your cinemas flea pits when they were really old-fashioned and quite manky? Some of them were what we called flea pits. Steve saying, I miss the old cinema with very large screen. Yeah, that's what we've got here, the really big screens and the curtains. I always like it when the little red velvet curtains open. That's what we got. But really modern, really modern. It's quite a long way from here. Well, I say not quite an hour away. Maybe close to an hour. So maybe 15 minutes away is our nearest cinema. So as I say, but it's a plush one, but still reasonable. I couldn't tell you exactly how much it was because we haven't been. We're watching a film on our laptop the other day, and I said to I think that's the last time we went to the cinema. Now, what was it we were watching? I know we went to all the Bourne videos, but something else after that. And he likes the what's the Tom Cruise ones? Mission Impossible, all those ones. Possibly it was one of those, the last one of those. Yes, says Steve and Tina Jewel. What else do you find at the cinema? I remember the days in England when you had the A movie followed by, no, you had the B movie first. You had the B movie, then you had an interlude, and then you had the A movie, the main feature. I remember that. And I think that was a promo, really, to make you feel, firstly, you got more for your money, and secondly, they could come in, the lady would come with the little tray. It was round her neck and the tray, and we always got a chalk ice. Chalk ice. I think it was for sales for that, and to stop late arrivals. And have I talked about this before? No one listened to the B movie. They were normally, I guess it was like film festival type movies. I don't know quite how they existed, whether it was promos or whatever, but it was always quite rubbish, mostly. Occasionally you got a big one, a good one. And I don't know if I've said about this before, but one time, like, everyone talked through it. No one really watched it. And it was like a travel video almost. And I think it was definitely a skiing place. I don't know what country it was, but I remember it was skiing. And people weren't listening really to it. And then all of a sudden you'll hear someone laughing. And then more laughing. So in the end, you start listening to it. And it was actually John Cleese doing the voiceover. And it was a almost like a parody of travel vlogs. Oh, not vlogs. You didn't have them, but travel video, a travel video or travel film. And he was like taking the mickey out of it. And in the end, everyone's listening and everyone's laughing. It was like a comedy, but it was set to pretend it was like one of those boring B videos you never watched. And I also remember that if you had an extra long main film, there would be an interval. And I've talked about this before. My parents took me to see The Sound of Music. And I still remember when I watched the film today where the interlude was. It was just when Maria goes back to the convent, just as she's leaving, running away from the house. And she goes back to the convent. That is where the interlude was on the film. And I remember because they said at the time that was the longest ever film, so they needed to have an interlude so people could go to the toilet and whatever and not miss what they've paid to watch. So you've got interludes as well in the main films. Steve saying used to go to Saturday morning cinema for sixpence at the Odeon. Bromley. There's that Bromley again. Steve, you need to come. We've got so much to talk about. Okay. So, yeah, I think some areas didn't do that as long as other areas. So I'm from Surrey, and that didn't exist as long as it kept going in other areas, not that I know of anyway. But for me, Saturdays was always dancing. I always went dancing, stage school on Saturdays. It wasn't a full-time stage school, but you went there most evenings to dance, and all day Saturday. And I do mean all day Saturday. So for me, I didn't do any of these English cultural 60s and 70s stuff. I was always there, and that was part of the reason my parents put me into dancing, because they didn't want me hanging out and whatever else or going places. So yeah. Do you remember any of the films you would see them? I don't remember. What was my first film? It was probably going to see something like Snow White or Bambi, and I've talked about Bambi before. Why were some of the children films so sad and stressful and upsetting? I'm listening to a podcast at the moment, a series, and it's called Scarred for Life. Do check it out. It's quite good. And they talk about growing up as a child, things that scarred you for life, such as me watching Bambi. And they have a guest on each episode. First of all, they talk about the guest, who they are and what they've been in and things like that. And then the second half of the interview is they have to name 3 things that scarred them for life as a child. And that's quite good. I quite like that one because, you know, I like 70s, all about childhoods and 70s and things like that. And so look up that one, Scarred for Life. The only downside I would say of that has been in the last couple of episodes I've listened to, it's once a week, but bear in mind I'm going to previous episodes, so I don't know where I am on it. The downside of it is I listened to it one day and then the next day. So even though it was recorded a week apart, I listened one day and then the next day. And they talked about a certain thing, which is irrelevant what they were talking about. And one of the hosts, because there's more than one host, he talked about his experience of this thing and told a whole story about his aunt and this situation. And then in the next episode, someone mentions this subject, which is irrelevant. And the host tells exactly the same story again. I'm like, we've heard this. What are you talking about? So that is the only downside of it. Why would you the next week talk exactly the same story of your experience of this subject? You could have just said as a host, oh, that's funny because I talked about my experience of this subject on the last episode. And what you should do is say, if you want to hear what happened to me with that experience, go back to last week's podcast and you'll hear my story. you promote a previous episode. Don't repeat it all again. So that was a bit bizarre, really. So, but I do like it. It's Scarred for Life. And apparently 2 of the hosts, I think there's 3 hosts in total, 2 of the hosts actually have written books called Scarred for Life. They talk about things such as the public information films, which I've talked about before. Any of you remember those, particularly if you're from England? Yeah, they actually scarred a lot of children from my generation and previous, these public information films. Things like Not Playing on the Railway, and the one I remember is Don't Fly Your Kite Near a Pylon, and then it gets caught in there and you climb up the electric pylon. I remember that one. All these kind of things. That comes up a lot in this program, on this podcast. If you've got any good podcasts, do let me know, particularly if there's anything about the 70s, growing up in, I don't mind late 60s. I was born in 64, but as I've said before, I was born in December 64. So to me, 64 doesn't exist. It's 65. But growing up the 70s is obviously where I excelled in my life. So anything about the 70s, I like that. I like old TV programs, talking about those. If any of you know great podcasts, yeah, that's my main thing. Growing up in the 70s and old TV programs, talking about those. They're my main things. What else? I'm not very good with audio books, so podcast of telling stories, unless I'm really into it. I did say that I'd played Animal Farm because I don't think I'd ever actually read it. And I also played the audio of 1984. Do go and play a podcast or audio book of that if you haven't read it. It's amazing how much of today is that. Even this pushing one sex or no sex. I don't mean having sex, I mean gender. All that, all sorts of things. Oh my goodness, I couldn't believe. I knew they always said, 1984, George Orwell could see so far into how things were going to be. But it's amazing. It really is. And how you're being watched. I always knew that 1984 was about how you're being watched all the time. That was my only real knowledge of what happens in 1984. But if you haven't read it, I would imagine reading it is a bit of a slog, perhaps. But listening to an audio of it, or it is on podcast, do listen to it if you haven't listened to it. It's just wow. It's really wow how it is. Oh, and rewriting news. They actually get you in 1984, the story. It talks about how they would have people working to rewrite the news. And in the end, your head tells you that really happened. It talks about that. So we know with internet, a lot of young generation think if it's on the internet, it's real, it happened. And just general things like even Doctor Who, if any of you watch that, they're trying to tell you history was a different story to how it is. I'm not talking aliens, but they often bring in a Victorian times story, for example, and they put in types of people that weren't there in positions they certainly wouldn't have been in those days, if you follow my drift. Yeah. Steve saying, last movie I saw at the cinema was Black Panther, which has a super advanced society that has primitive fights to the death on a waterfall. Is that Avengers? Is Black Panther one of the Avengers? I'm not very up on all these who's Avengers and who's, what's the other thing? X-Men and all that. I don't know who belongs to what segment. I don't really know that. I think Black Panther, is he one of the Avengers or is he one of the Marvel? I know of characters, but I can't associate who they are. One of my funny signs that I've put up is a men's toilet. You know, you have the symbol of a man for a toilet when you go in a man's toilet, and next to it was a disabled picture. And so someone had come along and changed the man into, as I say, I don't know the characters, but they put like long nail fingers. Is that, it's like that werewolf man. I don't know who he's called. They put like long fingers on that stickers, and then they did like something on his head. And then the wheelchair, I've forgotten his name now, the old bloke in the wheelchair, the Star Trek man, isn't they? They put like a cross on his wheel of the wheelchair, and where it said men, as in toilet, someone changed it to X-Men. Something to do in Africa, says Steve. Something to do in Africa. Something to do in Africa. Yeah, so that's my little history today. I will sit down and do, I decided, I kept saying about I want to do something, Black Panther, yeah. I wanted to do something to just have a, what's the word? Just to write my memories. And I've decided now I'm going to do it on my other channel, which is Tranquility Through Life's Natural Beauty. I'm going to film it sitting here. I'm going to have my camera there and like a live just chat, but I'm going to film it rather than do it as a live. And I'm going to document my memories of my 70s childhood, late 60s, 70s. And I'm going to do it like my dance channel, where I've actually started documenting, but that's on a live, my dance journey, starting from my first dance class and slowly working through. I'm going to record and do a series. I'll call it my 70s childhood, I think, and then put it on Tranquility Through Life's Natural Beauty. And I'm going to start with my first memories, and then slowly progress. I might choose subjects and then talk about foods that I remember, or maybe activities. Maybe one will be holidays, types of holidays. So if you're interested in that, I've just got to literally, I've got a notebook that I'm going to write like what my first one's going to be, write down some prompts of my first memories, and then I want to kind of recall my own personal history. But if there's people out there like me that loves their childhood memories and all that, maybe I'll do Christmases and birthdays. I often talk about those sort of things here, but I want to kind of do it in some sort of series and order. So I think that might be something I'll do once the heat's finished, because it's quite hot in this room in the summer. Maybe that will be my winter project, and start filming that. So I think that's where I'm going to go. So if you like the 70s or your childhood, I know a lot of what I say might not compute with different countries. You might not know what I'm talking about. But maybe then if I talk about, say, my sweets, what sweets were available, for example, snacks or things like that, maybe in the comments you could put your memories. Let's say you're American and you don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe it would be nice if you put the subject I'm talking about, you put your memories of your sweets and crisp fries, those kind of things, drinks, in the comments, and then people from your country can read those and then add to those comments. So let's make it a kind of memory diary of the subjects I'm talking about for everyone to go in the comments and have their memories of that subject. So that's what I think I'm going to be doing soon. Soon. I often have ideas and it's just time. As I say, I still want to do renovations of all my houses I've ever owned, because they've been major. But again, all those old type things and memories and how to learn, I've just put a video up of that. Whatever you want to learn, I tell you facts, how to learn. It's all on my other channel, Tranquility through Life's Natural Beauty. So do go over there. And as I say, if you ever say, oh, you said about that, but I can't find it, ask me for URLs. I've got all my URLs on a Word doc. I can find them so easily for you. So don't go struggling looking through. Just ask. Okay, I'm going to finish there. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, I've clicked end stream. I didn't mean to do that. Phew. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it, and I really mean that. I'm doing very well here on my subscribers, so thank each and every one of you who subscribed. I need my watch hours so that I can get this channel monetized. That would really be a huge help. So if you can do that, or share my channel, that would be really appreciated as well. So as I say, my other channel, I'm looking for watch hours. Okay, thanks for being here. Thank you so much to Steve, my moderator. He's awesome, absolutely awesome. Hope you enjoyed Mike's visit. And until next time, Meraki.